equity, empathy. And we got our recording started, so that those who weren't able to join today will have this recording available later on. But again, thank you for joining us. The music that you just heard as we came in is from one of our webinar panelists, Carl Arazzini, who is an adult with autism and a cellist, a singer, an artist, a musician, and many other things. And so we were thrilled to be able to share some of his musical talent with us today to kick us off. So just as an overview, this work, these equity challenges have been an important tool for United Way of Greater New Haven to not only spotlight, but also to engage and bring our community along with us as we seek to better understand the inequities that we see across all of our work in childcare and education, basic needs, and economic mobility. And so over the past few years, we have hosted many, this is our 7th Equity Challenge, and they focus on a variety of topics. And during each challenge, we've intentionally included resources around disabilities and support and learning and education. But we decided that we should really spend an entire equity challenge focusing on disability awareness and disability justice, because as you soon will hear today, as well as in the email challenge that we'll put a link in the chat for you to sign up for that if you haven't already. There is so much to learn, and there are so many ways that all of us can sharpen our tools, our lens that we live and experience and see the world through, and to understand how to better, to make it more accessible and inclusive. And so disability awareness, that's the title of this challenge, but it's not just about recognizing the barriers or those challenges that individuals face, but it's really about challenging stereotypes, the stereotypes that we hold in society. It's about creating more accessible environments and also celebrating the diversity of contributions from people of all abilities. We know that over 1 billion people in the world identify as having at least one disability. And so that's, you do the math, and that's like 15% of the global population. So that's a lot of people. And yet, there are still so many stigmas and misconceptions and systemic inequalities that continue to challenge everyone's ability in education, employment, social spaces, and beyond. And so today's webinar is really an opportunity to listen, something that I think a lot of us need to build that skill a little bit better, right? So this is an opportunity to listen and learn. And our incredible panelists and moderators today are going to share their lived experiences to shed some light on what it's like to navigate the world with a disability. And they're also going to offer some insights for us on how we can all be better allies and advocates. So as we begin, I'm going to invite you to think about that. Think about awareness and remind yourselves throughout that it's not just about understanding, but it's about action, right? And so using what you learn here today to make your workplaces, your schools, your homes, your communities more accessible and supportive for everyone. So I'll put one plug in. If you're inspired, and I know you will be, by today's conversation, please sign up for the 5-day disability awareness email challenge. We'll put a link in the chat for that to make it real easy for you. That starts on Monday. You can sign up for it. You'll get an email every day with curated resources from this fantastic community design team, a group of volunteers that helped curate and design that content, one of whom, Elaine, is on our panel today. And so again, sign up, get inspired, take action. And with no further ado, I'm going to share some logistics and then turn it over to our moderators. So first, note there's closed captioning. And so you can click the closed captioning button at the bottom if that can help you and access this information more. The webinar will be recorded. We'll make that available for folks. We'll send it out to everyone who registered afterwards, as well as some feedback if you'd like to give us some feedback. We're going to have a Q&A section towards the end, so please feel free to share your questions in the chat. And we'll select some questions to have our moderators invite our panelists to think about. And lastly, please stay till the end because there's going to be a sing-along. There's going to be a song that takes us out, so you won't want to miss that. So now, please, I'd love to welcome our moderators, Tanya Johnson, Heather Latora, who will be leading this conversation with our panelists. Tanya is a peer recreation technician. She organizes all kinds of community activities and quality of life events for people with disabilities. She draws from her personal experience of living with disabilities and overcoming life's challenges. And her personal motto, I love this, is I help others as I help myself. And so that is, I can't wait for you to hear from Tanya. And then we also have Heather Latora, who is president and CEO of Marrakesh. She's been there for 39 years, which is quite a run and quite impressive. And her leadership, which I've had the pleasure to witness, is just outstanding. And she's an incredible leader in our community, chair of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce and other boards. And I'm also proud to say that she's a literacy tutor, a reading tutor for the New Haven Tutoring Initiative. So another United Way program. So thank you both. And I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Allie, for that awesome introduction. I'll start. I'm Heather Latora. I do work at Marrakesh, and we are a nonprofit organization that provides support services to people in Connecticut. And when I had the opportunity to collaborate on the Disability Equity Challenge with the United Way of Greater New Haven, along with an incredible group of individuals, many who I just met, I felt this huge weight of responsibility, but a deep sense of purpose as well. I knew I wanted to participate and help amplify the voices of those I know who absolutely need to be heard. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce my co-moderator. This is Tanya Johnson, everyone.
Hi, Heather. Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Johnson, and I'm also work at Marrakesh as a rec tech. I help design community activities to people with disabilities across the state of Connecticut. I am honored to be here today, to be able to get to know more about these great people on this panel. I am excited to run this panel because it is important to me that others see and treat me as a person first, not as a disability, but a human being. I am in the middle of writing a play. My goal for this play is to get the word out. Please stop judging us because we hurt the same way you hurt. We believe the same way you believe. I do not want to be labeled anymore. I want society to accept us. I have overcome many challenges articles that many could not survive. And I stand here today strong and proud.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tanya. And I am going to start by just telling you who is on this panel, but then we're going to have them introduce themselves and talk about why they want to be here, why they agreed. So you are going to hear from Carl Arazzini, you're going to hear from Lynn Arazzini, Barbara Lombardi, Betsy Doan, and Elaine Kolb. So who should we hear from first?
Let's hear from Carl first. He's on the video.
My name is Carlo Arazzini. I am 34 years old. I live at 37 Party Place in my own apartment. I work at the Chapel Haven Cafe and feed animals at Kelly's Farm. I make beautiful artwork at the art studio Kane Chairs and E Street Arts. I am a good bowler and a great swimmer with Special Olympics. I play cello very well and sing the bass part with the Professor Lutheran Choir. I have many staff, teachers, and family to help me in my own department, and as a community member, sometimes are hard for me. I don't like a lot of instructions at once. I don't like when kids cry or when people are angry. I like my schedule to stay the same. I am learning ways to stay calm and be flexible. I can use these headphones when it is when it is loud or confusing. I also chew gum and listen to my sound machine or iPod to keep calm. My wish for an independent life came true in New Haven because when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you.
No. There you go. Thank you, Carl. That was great. Let's hear for his mom, Lynn.
Hello, my name is Lynn Arazzini. I am a pianist, organist, and a retired music teacher. In Greenwich, I taught many classes for disabled students back in the day when these children were in self-contained classes. I always looked for ways to integrate these students into my concert and always tried to have all students meet their full potential in my class and as a person. This early passion to help children of all abilities helped me on my journey with my son, Carl, who was diagnosed with autism at age 3. Carl's autism led me to become a political advocate for people with intellectual disabilities in Connecticut and nationally. I am also the chair of the Connecticut Department of Disabilities Regional Advisory Commission in Southern Connecticut. I retired to Guilford with my musical husband, David. I am so lucky to be able to perform on the shoreline with Dave, my daughter Rose, and future son-in-law Alex, and of course, Carl. This webinar opportunity is so important because I can make the public aware of all the abilities people with autism have, as well as their challenges. I also want people to understand the many ways our society and government can help people like Carl reach his full potential and be a contributing member of his community. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. So we're going to hear from Bessie.
Hello, I'm Betsy Doan, and I'm delighted to be here. I am a mathematician. I've taught at the community college system for many years, over 50 actually, and I love to teach. I'm a totally blind professor, and I am a twin with my twin sister Barbara, who will be speaking momentarily. I graduated from Albertus Magnus College, and then actually both of us have 2 master's degrees. I have a master's in mathematics from UMass and a master's degree in computer and information sciences from the University of New Haven. I have done some community service. I was past president of our local Rotary Club, and I'm currently the chair of the Tagliatella College of Engineering Board Advisory Board, and I enjoy that opportunity very much.
Thank you, Bessie. Now we will hear from Barbara.
Hello?
You got it.
Oh,
We're hearing it fine.
hello?
We're hearing you fine.
Hello, my name is Barbara Lombardi, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. It's so important to provide education and awareness so that people understand who people with disabilities really are. We got our primary education, most of it through the Oak Hill School for the Blind in Hartford. We learned our education skills and also our social skills, really. You know, we went to the gym and we had Glee Club, and we were both ham radio operators since 1958. And during their time at school, we taught many of our fellow classmates about ham radio so that they get their license. We attended Albertus, as Betsy mentioned, and graduate school. I was at, the University of Massachusetts, graduated with a degree in history, but I didn't work much there because I didn't get a job. But I did get a counselor degree from the University of Bridgeport and was in the outpatient and inpatient arena, really, for substance abuse counselors. And I've been doing that for many, many years, and I retired in 2017. A lot of volunteer work I did. Really, I now am president of the Derby Centennial Lions Club. I've been president there for the past 3 years, and I love it. I worked for Red Cross as a volunteer, as chairman to service to military families, I'm sorry, not disaster services. Well, we actually participated in disaster services, but I was chapter chairman for the Red Cross and chairman of volunteers. I now serve also on the board of directors of the Naugatuck Valley Health District, and I am chairman of their personnel committee. Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here.
Thank you so much. That was so impressive. Now we will hear from Elaine.
Wow. All I can say is wow. No, I can say a lot more, and I will. This is Elaine Kolb. Yes, I am sitting here, and one of the things, we are at the very beginnings of inclusion and accommodation in what we've provided here. So I will go ahead and provide a visual description of myself, which we do in disability justice places when we can. So I am a relatively fat, old, ruddy white person with a rainbow hat on. Yes, I'm that way. Sitting in a wheelchair. Wearing an extra large Black Lives Matter pin. Some of us have been involved in this disability awareness, disability rights, disability culture. Now we're into disability justice. Yes. And this, what we're doing today, is groundbreaking. So everybody who is here or gets to see this in the future, this is a living, growing, evolving example of disability justice. Disability justice is interracial, multicultural, intergenerational, gender fluid, with cross-disability solidarity. That's everyone. If you want to find out more about me, you can Google my name or put it into YouTube. But I am thrilled. This is decades of dreaming and visioning coming true, and it's beautiful. Let's celebrate together.
Thank you so much, Elaine, and Heather gonna ask the question.
All right, so we have lots of questions for everybody, and we don't have all the time in the world, although I wish we did. But we wanted to know, what do you wish others understood about the challenges you experience in your daily life with your disability, and how have you learned to navigate those challenges? And we're going to start with Lynn.
We're going to start with Lynn.
It might be Lynn and or Carl. I see Carl popping in here.
Unfortunately, I can't seem to get my video to turn on. I don't know
All
if
right, well,
guys-
you can keep talking and then
It says start my
there
video.
you go. There you go. We see you.
Okay. Alrighty. As Carl mentioned in the video, he lives in an apartment with DDS and DSS supports in New Haven. Although he has full funding with nonprofit agencies of Marrakesh and Chapel Haven, many hours go unfulfilled due to the unprecedented labor shortage. Carl is a complex individual who is a cellist, singer, artist, and a National Olympics swimmer. Along with these amazing talents, he also has challenging self-injurious behaviors, which he experiences suddenly and abrupt changes. Routine and schedules are his lifeline. When staff do not show up, Carl's world becomes unstable. My husband and I are retired teachers in our 70s, and we have to rush off to New Haven from 30 minutes away when staff calls out or doesn't show up at his apartment. Carl's self-injurious behaviors from such instances have resulted in some trips to the emergency room. Our life with Carl has given us a roller coaster ride of ups and downs, the highest highs and the lowest lows. We've experienced the high of Carl being featured in 2 award-winning documentaries and performing at Carnegie Hall with the National Children's Choir, to the lows of Carl needing stitches on his head as a result of hitting himself because a baby was crying. The stress of never knowing when Carl will have a serious behavior has had a lasting impact on our entire family. As my husband says, he wonders when the next shoe will drop, when Carl will have a meltdown, or staff will not show up, or some federal program will threaten to lower or end some of his funding. Our faith, church, community, family, friends, doctors, teachers, Carl's staff, elected officials, and countless special needs families have all helped us navigate our journey with autism. Also, our intense and never-ending love for our brave and persevering son, Carl, makes us stronger and be ready to face challenges and celebrate every victory.
Thank you, Lynn. Now we're going to hear from Bessie.
Okay. Well, my passion is digital accessibility. In other words, how do we get information on computers? You know, we did have the Industrial Revolution years ago, and now we have not only the computer revolution, but we have AI, as you all are aware. So, one big challenge is how websites are configured so that those of us blind and visually impaired people who use screen reader technology, and that means that we hear the output of the screen using very sophisticated software. But if the websites are not written in ways that we can access them, then we have difficulty. For example, you could go to a website and you find maybe buttons unlabeled. It'll just say button, button, but what is that open? We can find graphics not described, or we might find tables that are so misconfigured that we can't tell what is associated for what. If the table doesn't have a header on it, that is to say, let's say, for example, you have a table and you have date and time and activity. All right.
So what you really want to do is put that on the top. So you have a heading, and then you insert your date, time, and activity using a table, not a tab, but a table feature. Now the screen reader reads it properly. Otherwise, you know what we get? We get a column of dates. So maybe we get January 21st, January 22, January 25. Think of them as all under each other. And then we get the time, 1 o'clock, maybe the next time, 4 o'clock, maybe the next time, 7 o'clock. And now we have 3 activities. Maybe swimming, go to the movies, do webinar. Oh, but there's no association. So we don't know what time we're swimming. We don't know what time we're going to the movies, and we might miss the webinar. So unless you put a header on it, there is no associating. That's just one thing. Scanned images where we might not be able to figure out what that image is, especially in an email. Forms with edit boxes not labeled. Okay, so we know we have to fill something in, but what is it you want? You want my name, you want my address, you want my email address? What is it you need? So if it's not labeled, all we hear is edit, and then we tab and we hear edit, and then we tab and we hear edit again. Okay, now, so yeah, this is all important, but you know what? I'm an educator, and it's critically important to students today. They're all in public schools, right? They're not in special schools like we were. They're all in public schools, and you know what? They don't have books like some of us did when we were in school. It's all in software. And if they're not trained, then we have a problem and they don't know how to use the software. And a lot of times the people helping them are not technically trained. So it's a problem. I'm doing some work with blind students in public schools to help that, especially in the area of mathematics. Yes, they can do Word, and yes, they can do PowerPoint, and they can do it all as long as they're trained. Thank you. Barb, what do you find challenging?
Well, am I on?
Yep.
Okay. How do people perceive us? What a strange question, isn't it, when you think about it? Shouldn't we be perceived like everybody else? Not quite. Well, we should be, but we're not, are we? People think that we're deaf and so what happens? They talk loud. They talk through other people. For example, they'll say, what does she want? What is she asking? What does she need? Instead of asking us directly, they'll ask the sighted person next to us to say, what does she want? Or they'll hand something to the sighted person instead of handing it directly to us. I was in the bank the other day. I had some change they were supposed to hand me, or they tried to hand it to my sighted companion. He backed away so that they had to actually hand it to me. You could be in the store and someone tries to hand you an object, and instead of handing it directly, they do the same things. Clerks do the same things. The restaurants, they'll put something on the table, but they won't tell you where it is, or they'll just sort of throw it down and hope that you know where the plate is. So it's really one of the things that is really necessary is to communicate with us. You have to say hello. You have to communicate and identify yourself so we know who is there and what is going to happen. Things have to be explained to us. Um, so one of the most challenging, though, is in the medical arena, in doctors' offices. Now that shouldn't be, should it? But people often insist that the sighted person with us fill out the forms, and that's not correct. That's a privacy issue, and of course, we tell them that. They also think that the sighted person should go into the exam room with us. I had an incident the other day. I went to the doctor's office. They couldn't understand why I wouldn't let my friend fill out the form. They couldn't understand why this person wouldn't be going into the exam room because assume that whoever is with us is an aid, that they're an actual aid for us. We're independent. We live our own lives. We live in our own houses. We live in apartments. We live in our own places. We do things independently of other people. So, anyway, the technician, didn't understand. But so actually, that's really what I want to say in terms of some of the real basic challenges. Sometimes we're in a line and we don't know where the end of the line is. So, they have to,
Funny.
people have to tell us. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Don't forget
Barbara. That was
transportation challenge.
wonderful. Now we will hear from Elaine.
Don't forget what?
Yeah. Well, those of you who know me know that I could talk for hours, so I have 3 minutes. And I want to say that disability is the only disadvantaged minority that anybody can join at any time. You don't know. And that was my experience. I didn't know. I was 28 years old when I was injured. I have a spinal cord injury. Up to that point, if anything, I was abnormally healthy. I was very athletic, physically strong, which is part of what saved my life. So, and I was already involved in a lot of social justice causes. I was against racism. Everybody had the right to equal rights. Yes, indeed. Sexism, against that. I had come out as a lesbian. So I wanted to make sure everybody had the same equity, same justice. But I didn't know that because of the society we live in, I was also affected and infected, I think, by ableism. Now, a lot of people have never even heard the term, let alone understand what it is. So look it up, please, ableism. And if you don't understand, if you have a temporary disability, sometimes it will teach you and you can say, oh yeah, I never noticed there were so many stairs. So, but then there's physical disabilities and then there's invisible disabilities. Guess what? I have both. So people see the wheelchair, but they don't see that I have major anxiety issues. And I mask it very carefully because it's a form of protection. So we have invisible disabilities too. And both are problems, but also opportunities. And we are resilient people. That's what I want people to understand. People with disabilities, we are resources and we are resilient and we have a lot to offer.
Thank you very much, Elaine.
I think Barbara hit a nerve with us, Tanya, when she talked about, oh, they'll ask the person with them for something instead of asking them. And we were like, oh, that happens. I know that happens once in a while to you. And
Yeah. Sometimes, I feel like I'm getting like just a little bit judged and whatever. But then I have to think like, do they really understand? Do they really understand us and everything? So, and
So we're talking about like physical disabilities, like making sure that
Mhm.
you could click on something and hear the directions so we know what to do. But we're also talking about man-made or people-made barriers that just hit us when we're not expecting it. And it's a hard thing to do. You guys are bringing up so many
It's
different issues.
a
And
lot of good things, it's very interesting what y'all been through and stuff like that. So, um, it's this interesting.
um, so thank you. I see some questions coming in. I want to make sure that if you're came in late, that you see the CC button on the bottom of the screen for closed captions. And we're going on our third round of questions here now. And we will take some of the audience Q&As too. So here's a question. What is one action that a community member in our audience can take to advocate with or for those living with disabilities in our communities?
And we could start with Lynn.
Okay. Sometimes this muting thing is a challenge. Anyway, I want to talk about the need that could not be greater at this moment, especially in Connecticut, but all over this country, for nonprofit funding at this time. Carl's safety depends on it. Countless town, state, and federal dollars have been invested in Carl and others over the years in the public school system. Carl has made good on that investment. However, due to his autism and historic changes since the pandemic, Carl needs skill and consistent staff for him to continue to thrive. Nonprofits can't help people like Carl live quality lives without well-trained staff that have a career path and benefits. The Department of Disability Services, DDS in Connecticut, and nonprofit agencies are the villages that help vulnerable people like Carl. We can't starve these villages. Carl is doing his best to live an independent life. Now he needs the government and elected officials to step up and fund the nonprofits so they can properly fund the staff's wages. Now, the public in Connecticut can reach out to their legislators and senators and tell them to support House Bill 5247, which is going to automatically adjust state funding for nonprofit organizations to align with inflationary rates. Now, on January 14th, and I bet Heather Latorre from Marrakesh was probably there at the state capitol. There are all kinds of people advocating for nonprofits up there. And one CEO was quoted in the press, and I believe it's the CEO of Oak Hill. And when he was asked, he asked the question, how can disabled people eat, have power, be warm, or be driven to program and jobs when funding is either cut or never increased in our state? He said that for these agencies like his and Marrakesh and others, that the cost of food has gone up 29%. Electricity has gone up 48%. Heating oil, 123%. And van insurance, 80%. So with these facts in mind, anyone can call a legislator or a senator. Some people may feel intimidated. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not into politics. I was never into politics, but I made it my business to be in it so that I could help Carl and people like him. So I'm asking you, call or email your legislators and senators. You can find it online, what their phone numbers and emails are. Have them support people like my son and vote for nonprofit funding increases with House Bill 5247. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lynn.
Lynn, that is exactly where Tanya and I were this morning. We were at our site in West Haven meeting with legislators and about 50 other nonprofit organizations talking about this very thing. So really, that is a great ask for some help from our community members, that we can't do it alone. We need you to help advocate. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And I was told once that if a legislator or a senator gets 3 calls in a week on the same issue, all of a sudden it's their aides will tell them, you know what? We got an issue here that your constituents are interested in. So just keep that in mind. They do count the calls and they do count the emails. And if they get a big enough count, they start to pay attention.
Thank you. Next, we're gonna hear from Bessie.
Well, thank you very much. Am I on? I think I am.
You are.
Yes.
Okay, am I on still?
You are.
Okay, thank you. One of the challenges I didn't mention was transportation. I am on the board of Valley Transit, but transportation and travel are big issues. We have a nonprofit organization that helps us. We actually can sign up for remote assistance. We get assistance through our phones. It's called visual interpreting. So I would ask you too to ask your legislators to continue to please fund visual interpreting. I thought I would show you these glasses just for a minute. You put them on. This has artificial intelligence in it, and the camera is right here, and we can actually communicate with our visual interpreter through these glasses. I can actually read things with these glasses as well. Read print, that is, if it's if it's recognizable. All right, in the other area of digital access, please use, like if you're in Word, please use the accessibility checker. That will help you out. You don't have to know it all, but ask Word to check to see if your document is accessible. Generally, educate each other. Look up websites, read, look up videos. We ski, we do everything. And I think you will enjoy what you see. Thank you, and thanks for any help you can give us.
Thank you, Bessie. Now we hear from Barbara.
Well, very good. And so I think the main issue here is outreach. Please ask if we need help, please. If you see us, don't hesitate at all. Now, you might get a yes answer or you might not, but that's okay. At least ask. So, sometimes we're in a social situation, we're at parties or gatherings. And, sometimes we feel that we're there, but also alone because we can't see. So somebody might show something to someone and we don't know what it is. The way you can help us is to be there for us. Let us know what's around us. Let us know who's there. Introduce us to other people. Help us when we're in a buffet area. Help us to know what's there, what food is available. Ask us how you can help us. Help us to get our food. Help us to do all these things so that we don't feel separate from others. Because so many times you will see things that we can't understand because it's all visual. So what's presented to us is simply not available to us, and so then we feel somewhat excluded. And those are the kinds of things that you can help us do. Um, you know, uh, it's all in terms of attitude, isn't it? When you think about it, you know, I had a call from a rehab agency the other day to go to physical therapy. And I told her that I can't see and I'm going to need some help. And you know what she said? That's no problem. That's what we're here for. That's fantastic. That's what they're here for. And this is my hope. This is the real hope. That's what we're all here for, to give service. It's a promise, isn't it? It's a mission, isn't it? We're here to help. We're here to guide. And we're here to serve. And I am also here to serve. And if I can help you in any way, I would be absolutely delighted. Thank you very much for the opportunity of being here and for talking to you, not to you, but with you.
Thank you, Barbara. That was awesome. Now we will hear from Elaine.
We are interdependent. We are part of an interdependent living movement. That means we're all in this together. And if it's going to be a real relationship, it has to be mutual. Problem some of us have is some non-disabled, or I like to say not yet disabled people, because you know what, you get a disability eventually, usually, but anyway, people just want to assume that they know better than I do about what I should be doing with my life. And they will question me, not offer nicely or whatever. Is there something I could do that would be helpful? Are you okay? Instead, they'll come up to me and say, what are you doing out on a day like this? Don't you have someone meeting you? So be respectful, yes. And also listen, follow directions. It's like people want to do it their way. Oh, I had an uncle that was in a wheelchair. Well, I'm not your uncle. You know, so this is the whole thing. Everything has to be individually appropriate, not according to category. Each individual person is unique, as Tanya said was one of our words for today. We are each and all unique. And we all have strengths and weaknesses. Let's approach each other with that kind of curiosity and respect.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Tanya and I were noticing that everybody on this panel you don't stop with yourselves. You want to help everyone else.
Exactly.
You're on committees, you're leaders in your towns, you're helping children, you're helping each other, you're offering your assistance. And that is what's amazing about our community, is that you're still giving back.
Mhm.
And that is really awesome. And you know, you meet one person with a disability, you meet one person with a disability. You have to meet everybody. You have to meet each person. And that's how isms start, is when you generalize things like, oh, people who can't see are A, B, C, or people, and we can't do that. And we know we can't do that. And I saw Ruth put in the chat, asking is wiser than assuming, and asking is a very important thing. And that's part of why we have this panel, because they're ready, willing, and able to answer your questions. And they want to help you to gain understanding and be able to ask questions. And that's something we had to do at Marrakesh here. In about 5 years ago, we started supporting people who were deaf and hard of hearing.
Mhm.
And instead of just assuming, oh, they need this, they need this, they need this, they told us what they needed. They said, hey, you have a buzzer at your front door, but we can't tell you letting us in. We need, we need a flashing light there. So asking is so important. So I'm so glad that Ruth is listening and put that up. We have panel so many questions that we'd love to get to. So if we throw them out to you and you let us know if you'd like to answer them or who would like to answer them. One question says, you all talk about extreme patience required on a daily basis to educate people on how you engage with you and how all of you are able to do that. How do you handle that? That extreme patience, those questions, those, who has a great way to deal with that?
Go ahead, Betsy.
Sometimes we do it, some days we do it better than others, but we understand that people really don't know. And I think in my own mind, I always think of teaching. So when I'm answering, I'm teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Betsy. Anybody else want to answer that question? All right, Elaine? Go
Yeah,
ahead, Elaine.
this is Elaine Kolb. And to kind of piggyback on what Betsy said, yes, people don't know what they don't know. And like before I was injured, I did not know a lot of stuff that I could only learn by going through that experience. I almost died. So I keep reminding myself, but then I also have to have folks that I can vent with, like some of our folks here or other folks and stuff that I can just vent with and say, you're not gonna believe what happened today. And then you can at least spill it so you can release the energy and the frustration, because you don't want to take it out on people that are still at least in the process of trying to understand.
Thank you, Elaine. Lynn?
I was just gonna say, kind of like the education piece too, because actually I'm of course an educator too. And you know, one time we got some cards from Autism Speaks, and I don't know if we still had any of them hanging around, but they were a synopsis of what it's like to have a child with autism, and you would give it to people who either were staring or wondering what was going on, or sometimes actually could be quite rude about your parenting and your child and whatever. And I remember, you know, one time I gave this to somebody and it said, my son has autism. We are trying our best, and you know, talked about what autism is. And at the end of it, it said you can donate to Autism Speaks if you would like. So we educated and then asked even for advocacy. And the person really stepped back and said, geez, I had no idea and I didn't know. And I said, yes, I know you didn't. So, you know, those kind of things happen. And one time a little child was making fun of Carl a long, long time ago. And Carl went into the library and I went over to the little boy and explained things to him. And then I went in the library and I came back out with Carl about half an hour later. And the boy was still there. And he said, I'm really sorry. And I'll never do that again. And so those things give me hope and help my patients. And also, we all have each other. I belong to a support group called Pizza Moms. I've been with these people for over 20 years. And once a month, we have a beer and pizza. And we all have children with disabilities. And I wouldn't miss that meeting for anything. It means so much to be with people that understand, you know. So those are some of the things that help you cope and make you keep going.
So talking about the pizza moms, pizza and beer moms, one of the questions was, what local resources, services, or opportunities in Connecticut have been most helpful? And also, what's missing? What do we need to build on?
Well, I guess a lot of what we've done have come from a lot of other parents that have disabilities, you know, with children, and you know, you get the groups from within, but I guess education is so important, you know. And also, I was so glad that, you know, after I started teaching in the 80s, we had all the self-contained classes, and then it started to be more integration and stuff. And, you know, you just have to let people know that everybody has a place in this society. And then we have to let politicians know, and then they can help us provide for everybody so they get the best shot. And actually, it saves society money because when somebody like Carl works at beautiful East Street Arts, which is a part of Marrakesh that Heather oversees, and makes beautiful artwork and sells it and gets a commission, things like that, you know, it helps him, it helps society. So
That's great.
Okay, that's good.
Uh,
Bessie?
I would say, we had our own education. So, when we did our college and graduate work. But you know what? We go out in the community, we'll go to a restaurant, and they're great. They'll help us out to an Uber car. I know this isn't an agency, but it's community. And they're great. The whole community is wonderful. They see us, um, even at some of the restaurants. They'll say, I just put your wine down. It's right here above your knife. So a lot of people are really great. And um, I think once people know about what to do, they're happy to be helpful. It's just some don't know. And I know I even belong to, I do training with my trainer at the gym, and that's, it's wonderful. It's all good. I think what's missing are trained voc rehab folks who are not thoroughly trained in some of the technological resources that are needed and that are real resources that can be helpful. That's one thing that's changed. And of course, there's always funding issues. Thank you.
Elaine?
The missing link, in my humble opinion, is something that is part of the reason I'm so thrilled about being here is that United Way is the best way to do some of the stuff. And what we can do on the local level, small gatherings, I call them hubs or whatever, events, we create what I view as the extended family networks of neighbors and friends. Now, the thing is, you don't have to be best friends, and you don't have to be close relations. You don't even have to be close neighbors. However, to have the commitment that you're going to do something to try to assist in your community, it also can be done in libraries, it can be done in schools, it can be done in all kinds of community organizations, having these get-togethers. And this is part of how you find and match some of the workers that our people desperately need now. What I haven't expressed is that I've been militantly unemployed all these years. I've never had a full-time job since I was interned in 1977. And part of the problem is that our people get trapped in enforced poverty. So we can generate money and provide these fill in the blank sorts of services so people have a fighting chance to live in freedom in the community. The extended family network of neighbors and friends. We can do it.
I love that thought.
Me
Right?
too.
That's pretty
Me
cool.
too.
Betsy, I think your glass has sparked on some questions about what technologies and AI is coming out that's changing the game. There's so much coming out, I know, for people that now can live in their own apartments instead of in supervised settings to call for help and to get assistance when needed. But what else? Is there anything that's a game changer for you besides the glasses or other technology that's interesting and new?
Well, there's always the AI on computer and the iPhone. We're avid users of our iPhone because of Apple built accessibility right into the box. We use VoiceOver, and on your iPhone, if you just enable accessibility, you'll have the phone work a little differently. You double tap instead of, it's a little different, but it's all there. And we really can do everything on the iPhone. And then I think many of you probably know that Apple is starting to build AI into that as well. We use the glasses. Well, they're starting to be used more. These are high-end glasses because the technology's out there, and I can talk to my visual interpreter while I'm walking along, and I can be hands-free. I've got my cane in one hand and I go, and then I use the glasses to get direction. They can also be used in an AI way to contact and say, like I could say to this AI assistant, she'll say, "Hello there, how is your day today?" And you'll say, "My day is fine, but I need help reading this document. Can you read it?" "Well, I'll take a look. Hold it straight. No, move it to the right. Move it up. Move your head down just a little bit." And then if she can read it, she reads it. Otherwise, you can, if you're not using that AI assistant, well, then we can bring up something right on the glasses that actually scans the text and interprets it. Honestly, I've been able to take a magazine and read articles out of it. And what you do is you take these glasses, you put them on. Whoops, I got a headset on. Ah, I couldn't help but show you these. And then you take the piece of paper and you hold it out like this. Hold it up, and then it might say, "Move your head down." So, or no, it might say, "Move the paper down very slowly." Then you hear the camera click. When it clicks, it's got it. It does optical character recognition on it, and it reads it.
Wow.
It is incredible. I had to show you that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bessie. That's amazing.
It is.
I
I mean,
think
I'm
it's
so
so
amazed.
amazing.
I had to show, we just had to do it.
We like it. There's another question, probably from people in the community that maybe run stores or other places. They want to know how places like museums, how can they better serve people with disabilities?
Well, museums can be audio described. You can have a video that is audio described, that could be produced. And so when a blind person goes around, they would hear that description of various areas. And the more touchable items you have, the better. And while I'm at it, stores, please don't make us use touch screens. Please have a register that gives us a piece of paper, and please have a keypad that we can enter our phone number, not just touch a screen, because we can't do it. We love to tap our cards on the screen and, our credit card, and we love to hear the beep. But come on, let's have a touch keyboard. Like some of them have actually disabled the touch keyboard because the screen is enabled. Why? We could do both.
Right. I never thought of that. Have you ever thought? I love this question about employers. How can employers foster inclusive interview processes to enable successful job placement?
And the one want to answer?
Oh, I want to.
Okay.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
I'm an employer, we have 650 employees at this point, and we need everybody. So we want to be a fully inclusive employer. And we were told over the years that just having signs out front or different ways to access our other employees, our HR department, just being fully transparent and get it and finding out what people need
Mhm.
and giving it to them and making sure everyone belongs and asking that question. What do you need? How could we help you? How could you be successful here? What do you need? And listening and really celebrating our differences. We definitely know that the more diverse we are with our employees, the better we are. That's a fact, as an organization and a strong organization. So really making sure from the point that the application is taken, that we have all ways to complete your application and get it into us is important from there. And I see you have an answer too from Barbara.
Barbara?
Yes.
Mm.
Well, you know, one of the things I think to have the employers be open, really, and to give that atmosphere from the very start. So somebody, the interviewee walks in and sits down, and the employer, you know, the way they greet someone, because you could tell right away when you walk in the room. And I've had many interviews over the years, and you could tell right away whether they're really excited to see you or whether they're stressed.
Mhm.
Right away, right away. I mean, you know, and so that when they're asking you what you need, to be expressing yourself in terms of receptibility, how, you know, that you are actually really receptive to what they're actually saying, because many times an employer will say, well, yes, that's nice, but you know, there's a problem with that. Or yes, that's good to hear, but we're not sure we could really, you know, offer that kind of a solution. Or, you know, right away, I mean, lots of employers are very closed to really something that could be adaptable, very easily adaptable, as a matter of fact, you know. That would really make a difference. If somebody needs um, you know, a special computer, uh, especially in today's world, you know, to ask what it is really specifically what they need and to really take a look at how that we could really accommodate it. Now, if the employer is really interested in this person and really shows through their resume and so forth, obviously that this person really could be a top performer, you know, in their workplace. That's so important.
Especially with this job market being so
Yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
You have
You
to open
know?
your doors to everyone and embrace.
Mhm.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And
Yeah,
the Bureau of
absolutely.
Rehab Services is around and they're great with helping if we need technology. And actually, we know the city of New Haven has an office of for disabilities and they are really receptive. They'll come out and help employers become more accessible. So we have right in our own neighborhood places that will help us be great employers and open to anybody that wants to come work.
Yeah. Anybody else want to ask, answer that question? Okay, next question.
Next question, let me see.
Um,
We're just
I
lost in our
think,
conversation.
I just think that this going very well. Like, you know, this is my first time, so I think it's going very well.
That's right.
And I enjoy, you know what I'm saying, to meet y'all, you know, that's it.
Yeah, the openness on the call has been great and our audience has been wonderful throwing us
Mhm.
questions, but I would like to hear from everybody on the panel about
Yeah.
how they feel. If there was a point we didn't ask you about that you really feel strongly about and you want to let our audience know, we are coming around to the end of the hour. So call on your.
We could let's change it. We could start with Lynn.
Well, I guess I was just mulling over that question before the employment question about museums and places in the community. And I just want to say that some places are doing some wonderful things in terms of autism, where they'll have autism-friendly experiences. And when Carl was representing the state of Connecticut in Seattle in 2018, when he swam with National Special Olympics, Seattle as a city opened their arms to us in ways that we couldn't really believe. And one of the things they did was the Science Museum, where that Space Needle is. They decided to keep the museum open after closing hours, and they let all the athletes and their families come in and see the museum. And going into a museum with a lot of people in it, and especially a lot of young children that might be loud or do unexpected things, is really a very big challenge for Carl. So this was such a wonderful thing to be. I'll never forget that, as well as all the amazing things that happened at the actual swimming event. But when people do things like that, or if a play is going on, and if they decided that the theater would be open to have maybe people with sensory issues to come and watch a dress rehearsal rather than come to the actual performance, you know? So there's a lot of thinking outside the box for all kinds of disability, you know, things that you can make accommodations for. But those are just some things that I'm thinking about with autism. I've seen movie theaters, they've had special showings. There's a couple of movie theaters that only hire disability people, particularly people with intellectual disabilities. And I think one of them is in Westport, the Paradise or something like, I can't remember the name of it. There's one in Ridgefield, and they have autism friendly showings. So these are some wonderful things. And I hope
Lynn, I think you are awesome. You just awesome. And I really would love to meet your son.
yes. Well,
Like,
he's out
like,
there
like,
now. I see him in the kitchen.
oh,
He's having dinner.
oh.
He's making me hungry.
Watching the whole thing, his wonderful staff is there cooking for him. Yeah.
Elaine,
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on the museum thing because, see, one of the things about being me is that I am interconnected with a vast array of organizations in all different realms, because that's just what I do. And I can send this and we can put it in whatever records we have, but there's actually a whole group of people, mostly from the old disability rights movement, that has been meeting and are planning to try to create a series of disability museums. And some of them already in process and are being collected, and some are virtual, and some will be physical, and some are specialized things like Ed Roberts. I don't know how many people know Ed Roberts. Most people don't know disability history at all. He was the father of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Ed Roberts, look him up. You've never heard of him? That's why we need more stuff about disability. Anyway, Ed Roberts, his wheelchair is in the Smithsonian. So there's the representation, but there's also providing the accessibility. And there are people that is what they are doing, is trying to make museums more accessible. And there's a whole realm of people that this is what they do. And I can connect you to them if you're interested. This is what I do. So blessings to everyone. This is so exciting.
thank you, Elaine. Bessie?
Do you know that on your TV you have audio description? And if you, many programs, prime time programs, and by order of the FCC, certain prime programs, excuse me, certain time blocks are mandated to feed audio description. And if you turn on to your secondary audio programming, where you see the Spanish programming, you can enable audio description, and what you get is described programming. We got to see, I loved, I mean, I always watch TV, and we do say watch. We don't say we hear TV, we talk like everybody else. So we watch TV. And on the ADP or audio description programming, I was able to enjoy the opening ceremony of Special Olympics. You know, many movies now are described. It's wonderful. Amazon, lots of the Amazon stuff is uh, all the new movies are audio described. That means that volunteers actually read the audio description, and that's put onto a separate track. And that track is injected into the programming so as not to interrupt the normal flow.
Thank you, Betsy. Barbara?
Well, I agree with Betsy that it's that is really very important for us, really, because it opens all kinds of avenues in terms of what we can actually not only hear but really see, as it were. I think the main thing, and I suppose this is kind of very simple in a way. I think people really need to learn to talk to each other.
Yes.
I mean, listen, people are on their cell phones all the time. You could be in the same room and you're talking to someone. Where are they? They're on their cell phone. Or they're two computers, people in the other room, they're on their computer. You're talking to people on the computer as we are now, and that's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. Cell phones, all this technology is wonderful. But somehow we've forgotten some of the basics, and that's one of the barriers. It could be really a barrier in terms of dealing with people with disabilities. Talk to us, converse with us, be able to, learn how to have a conversation. I mean, people that they're, today, I think, start a conversation, learn to talk. Not only ask questions, but be interested, show interest, show that there's actually a stimulus, be stimulated in conversation. Oh my goodness. We're ham radio operators, and I can't tell you how many times we've talked to people all over the country, all over the world, and have been absolutely amazed at what people are interested in. You could go, that kind of thing. It's really so important. And that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. That was wonderful.
Thank you. I know some people were asking about other legislative action to support. There's supported decision-making. There are still people that just because they have a disability, they have a legal guardian and they can't make decisions for themselves. So that's
Yep.
there. I don't know all the bill numbers, but I do know the budget is the biggest thing we're trying to conquer, and we're trying to make sure that people with disabilities and the people that care with them and for them are valued in our budget. So those are two important things, and there's so many other things as well. And also, as far as communication, because now we work with people who are deaf and we have staff who are deaf, that we provide sign language training to our employees and to anyone else who's interested. And we have a great instructor. We're on sign language 4 level, and we just started a new one. So you're right, communication is so important.
So important.
And I think we have to give this back to Allie. I think can you believe we're almost out of time? It went by like way faster than I thought this would ever go. So I think we have to give it back.
Give it back to Allie.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Heather. My gosh, this was so fabulous. I've been, I wish I could show you the notes that I've taken here. Betsy, Barbara, learned so much from you. Lynn and Carl learned so much from you. Elaine, continue to learn so much from you. And of course, Tanya and Heather, just what incredible conversation that you've led us in. And, I can say just from seeing the participants, the audience members who have stayed, they are listening, they've been sharing tons of questions. So I think that's a tribute to all of you, what you've shared, just your vulnerability, your authenticity, and just the opportunity for us to hear about, you know, your lived experience and just really connect with that. And Barbara, I love what you said. Like, we all need to just be having conversations. We just need to talk to people, talk and listen. So thank you all for that. I'll put this last plug for the equity challenge, the email equity challenge, because again, today was one moment, and the equity challenge will be over 5 days with tons of resources, local Connecticut resources, global resources, and will just further the messages that you've heard here today from our amazing panelists. So sign up, and you're in for a treat, because we are going to close our session today. So Elaine is a singer-songwriter. She's been recorded. There are videos. She's got a songbook. There's all kinds of articles about her. You'll see some of those in her challenge, but she's going to sing us out for this webinar. So thank you for joining us today. Appreciate everyone being here. And Elaine, over to you.
Wow. I know I said that at the beginning, but here we are again. Wow. Good for us. Congratulations to everybody that participated. Both the ones that were, you know, on the screen and speaking, and everybody that has participated and put things in the chat. We are all in this together.
Yeah.
And the song is We Are Everyone. That's a picture of me back in 1989, when my part of this CD was recorded in London, England. And here we are. And we are everyone. We are everyone, and we've only just begun to understand the truth that sets us free. We are everywhere, whenever people care enough to be the best that we can be. We are every way that people love and pray, on the mountains, the deserts, and the sea. Everyone includes you and me. We're your sisters and your brothers, your fathers and your mothers. We are the fruit of every family tree. And the nuts. We're your neighbors and your friends. The circle never ends. We are every kind and we are each degree. 'Cause we are everyone. We've only just begun to understand the truth that sets us free. We are everywhere, whenever people care enough to be the best that we can be. Oh, we are every way. People love and pray on the mountains, the deserts, and the sea. Everyone includes you and me. Every color, every shade, every class, and every grade. Hey, we're everyone. Though for ages the world has kept us down, we are rising now. From our suffering we've learned how to share the joy and beauty that we've found. We are weak and we are strong. We are right and we are wrong. Yet we're trying to make it better as we go. We are young and we are old. Our stories will be told. We're sharing with each other as we grow. 'Cause we are everyone. We've only just begun to understand the truth that sets us free. We are everywhere, whenever people care enough to be the best that we can be, and we are everywhere. People love and pray on the mountains, the deserts, and the sea. And everyone includes you and me. We are born, and then we die. And in between, we try to do the best we can with who we are. And together, we find the bravest souls are kind. Let's say that again. The bravest souls are kind. And always try to touch a shining star. For we are everyone. We've only just begun to understand the truth that sets us free. We are everywhere, whenever people care enough to be the best that we can be. Oh, we are everywhere that people love and pray on the mountains, the desert, and the sea. And everyone, no exclusions. Everyone includes compassionate inclusion. Everyone includes miracles happen. Everyone includes you and me.
Wow.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Wow, amazing.
Thank you,
That was
Elaine.
amazing.
Perfect.
Beautiful
ending.
way. Perfect
That was-
ending.
yeah.
Yes, thank you all. Stay warm, stay safe. Love on your people. And be well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Take care.